the left, there's kind of this like purity thing and this like again this gatekeeping thing where it's like if you're not perfect or whatever, they're gonna be like off, and then like not all of them obviously, but the what do you call them, woke scolds? Woke scolds.
There's no good term, but that's the
Yeah,
one I
like
tend to use.
I don't want to
Yeah.
use that straight up, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
there's a group of those people who act like that, and I think it's really detrimental to the left wing online, at
Yeah,
least.
because we could have a good pipeline if we wanted to. Because their pipeline is 100% about deceit. Like to go into the far right, it's you lay out a couple of apparent contradictions. Hey, why do women get preference in this? Why do black people get affirmative action? Why no White History Month? And you lay out a few apparent hypocrisies, and then
Mhm.
you throw in these explanations for them that are increasingly they increasingly condemn existing social structures until eventually you're answering these relatively minor apparent hypocrisies with stuff like the Jews are orchestrating this grand hypocrisy to destroy the white man, and we could
Mhm.
do something that has a similar function, if not through similar means. We just, and I mean, I completely agree. I just feel like we don't, because we're just not interested in taking more people in. We just assume the only good leftists are the one that naturally arrived at those positions with no help,
Mhm.
which is
Yeah.
exhausting.
Yeah, like someone in the chat was like, "Oh, we don't have to educate everyone." Like I agree, but there's got to be some kind of like, okay, yeah, I'll talk to you about this. Like even though I know that people online could be really annoying to debate with, but
Oh
like
yeah,
some of
totally.
my yeah, like when I talk about left left leaning things online, like Bernie support, Medicare for all, stuff like that, I'll get people who are more right wing, but not really, like the anti-SJW type, like, oh, but he's a commie or whatever. And then you just, instead of really telling them to fuck off, you're like, well, do you think Denmark is communist country? Like you just kind of like talk to them and they're just like, oh, you're right. And I've been getting dozens and dozens of messages since I started my alternate channel from people like, oh my God, I never knew about any of this. Like,
The Brainlet channel.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, oh, I support Bernie now. Like, oh my God, like everyone, like I used to only watch Crowder and that's the only information I got about him. Like, it's
That's
really cool to see, but
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm I guess so interested in your political journey. Not just in you as a person, because
mm,
you've actually been one of the most communicative public figures with me, which is astonishing given your size. You probably have a ton of people who you could be talking to. But in addition to that, which means a lot to me personally, there's also the fact that you have a very wide audience. You have
mhm,
the and it's not because you're not open with your political views either. You're pretty clear about them. Your
mhm,
audience ranges. I've seen people in your audience ranging from actual socialists to basically fascists who
mhm.
yeah, and it's that's I mean, I obviously don't have that kind of breadth. I try to, because I like to reach as many people as I can, but you are in a very unique position, and I'm interested in seeing how someone with that kind of audience manages those dissonant expectations. And I honestly think you've done a pretty phenomenal job when it comes to promoting your political views. You don't come off as like preachy, or you don't like condemn people who disagree, and you couch all of your
Mhm,
political positions in humor, which is really important.
mhm. Yeah, that's one of the things a lot of people have said in like the messages and stuff. They're like, "Oh, you're not like preachy. You don't talk down to us or whatever." And so many left-wing channels just feel like they do that, like they were talking down to me. And one of the mistakes I see a lot of anti-SJW channels that kind of went left, a big mistake I see a lot of them do is they don't like bring their audience along with them. And I think that's a really big mistake. They kind of start like wagging the finger at their audience and like talking down to them when you can like bring them along with you on your journey in like a way that like how you went along on your journey. Like just talk to them like they're normal people and like entertain them. And it's like it's good because like I still have right wing people in my audience and like people see that as like a negative thing, but I think it's cool because like I don't know, like I can teach them more about my point of view and whatever, and they eventually could agree with me or not, but
But people
yeah.
aren't coming into your videos like centrist and leaving Nazis. Like
Yeah.
I can't find whatever pipeline you're operating, however you've built your like little pipeline machine, it's not churning out like the far right. So
Mhm.
yeah. So I think that's pretty important. There are some people who do more scattershot political content that I think fall more closely within that vein. Um, without
I
wishing
don't.
to name names, but you know, right? There are like comedy channels that kind
Mhm.
of hit across the board with comedy, but there you could interpret a lot of far right positions from
Mhm.
what they're saying.
Yeah, like even in my older videos, I was I'm a liberal and blah blah blah. Like before I would say something like I was never the channel that was like the left has gone crazy.
Right?
Like I
Yeah,
never
the Dave
that.
Rubin, Crowder, Tim Pool,
Yeah.
fucking yeah, the grift.
Um, but also back in the day, I would get people like, "Wow, I never knew a liberal could be so cool." Like, so my channel has kind of always been not like the other liberals kind of thing, which is, I guess, cringe.
Listen, we're
But
all
like
there's nothing
I've
wrong with being a little cringe, okay? We're all cringe in our
I've
beautiful ways.
I've kind of like expanded on that and just like kind of shown people that you could be like left wing and think these things, the things you think are annoying, but you could critique them from the left because I think a mistake is you have these anti-SJW people, including myself, who will be like, look at this cringy BuzzFeed thing, isn't it cringe? Oh my god, feminist, whatever. And then they kind of leave it open-ended. And it's just like, where does the audience go from there? And that was, I think, a mistake I've done because I've always been, I'm anti this, isn't this thing cringe? But I've never been like, hey, here's an alternative, to this cringe. And that's what I'm kind of trying to
Yeah, I
change a
think both
little.
are really, really important because
Mhm.
it's impossible unless you're holistic in your condemnations of basically everywhere across the political spectrum. You can never really know where a person sits unless they actually tell you. Criticizing other positions can often be used as
Mhm.
a means to suggest the positions one holds without actually offering an alternative. Like, and I'm not naming names here, if your channel is exclusively dedicated to shitting on people who are doing anti-racist like messaging and
Mhm.
shitting on people who are doing like anti-Nazi messaging, and you're always making fun of them for being hysterical SJWs, and you never actually clarify your positions, but you're really, really
Mhm.
anti-Nazi, yeah, you know. Um, Actually, I think that's probably, and I should clarify for chat really quickly. When Shu's saying like she doesn't do the I'm not like the other leftists. This is why the left is crazy. I have done the same fucking thing in the past. I have criticized the left in the same broad language. What she's saying is like she doesn't do like the grift shit, like the Tim Pool stuff, where her channel is dedicated to like ascribing positions to the left to condemn them without clarifying alternatives, which is usually ends up being like a right leaning grift. You know what I mean?